Like to call to order the East Ascension Drainage meeting to order, January 12th. We're going to, I think we have a couple of Mr. Turner's missing, Ms. Casso, anyone else?
No,
And
Sadler.
Mr. Sadley. Okay. Mr. Kluwas going to give us the invocation, followed by the pledge.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for taking us through this cold spell last week. Lord, as we move into the spring and get through this winter, we ask that you keep everybody high and dry. Lord, please look down upon the people of Ascension Parish, and especially the elderly. We ask that everyone look out to their neighbors and see what they can do for those that don't have. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with Ms. Jessica. Move on to the acceptance of the minutes for the November 1st meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Melanson. Any opposition? If not, motion passed. Number 5 on chairman's report and announcements. I'm gonna go ahead and let Mr. Rule bring out a few of the other meetings, but we want to let everyone know that starting in February, Mr. Kluwart's district with the Laurel Ridge levy, everyone will be contacted, and we'll start having some public meetings at the DPW building on Church Point. And after that, we'll follow through with several other projects that we have going on through the parish. I've talked to Mr. Melanson, Mr. Turner with Marvin Bro, Mr. Shake Snyder with Panama, Ms. Castle with the Frog Bayou, and several other ones. So we need to really get the public behind us on some of these major projects that we're really fixing to start pushing this year. And just feel free to, voice your opinion and try to get your stuff set up where we can have these public meetings. Mr. Shakes now.
I'd like to try to make sure and get in on first 2 weeks of February. We're ready to
Okay.
move forward.
Ms. Jessica, can you make a note of that, please? Anyone else? Not, also, Ms. Jessica, please have on the February agenda the election of chair and vice chair, please. With that, I'll go on to number 6, the drainage report. Mr. Rue.
I handed out a report of the major projects. The first sheet is just a summary of all the projects. You go to the second sheet, each project is broken down, and that's what I'll go through tonight fairly quickly. Muddy Creek drainage improvements, feasibility study is 100%. Right now, it's about 40% on 30% design and environmental permitting. The main part about that is the permitting. Volker is the engineer on that project, and everything is going to the Corps for the permitting. And once it gets there, it's at their leisure, I guess, to when it's going to get back to us. We have no idea the way the Corps has been getting projects back to us, permits. The Bayou, Swamp Bayou, Bluff Swamp and Frog Bayou project. Right now, we going through environmental permitting, and what we're trying to do is work with Iberville Parish to do a joint permit. GSA is spearheading that effort through PLD for us. They're working with the engineers for Iberville to come up with one operational plan, and they're also working with them to come up with one set of data, for the permit, so we can again do a joint permit. Now, once we get the permit done, we're going to separate it out and do our own project, which is basically putting in at least 3 more sets of 8x8 box covers at the Frog Bayou locks. and off, opening up a channel, between it and Ridge Road. But again, the main thing now is to get the environmental permit, and a joint permit for that project. Law Ridge Extension, reconnaissance is 100% preliminary design, feasibility study is 100%, environmental permitting, mitigation, geotechnical is ongoing right now. It's at DNR, and it should be just about ready to go from DNR to the Corps of Engineers for their permitting. Again, we have to go through two permits on that. One is the state DNR permit, and the other one is the Corps of Engineers. We don't see a problem. The only thing is there will be a fair amount of mitigation that we expect. Now, having said that, the Corps of Engineers is right now holding up all permits. What they've been using in the past, what they call the modified Charleston method of assessing mitigation. And they had pressure from Congress to make changes in that system, which I think is good for us, because the modified Charleston method, ever since they went to that method, it's usually costing us 2 to 3 times what the actual damages are to wetlands. So in other words, if you had you affected 1 acre of wetlands, they usually assess you 3 acres, depending on the type of credits. And at $35,000 to $40,000 an acre, it runs up. It triples the cost of projects. So they're holding off right now. They're waiting for the Vicksburg Home Office to give them word back exactly what system they are to use. And hopefully they'll have that within another week or two, but again, they're holding up all permits right now until they get that information in. Like the chairman said, we're gonna have meetings starting in February. We're gonna set a meeting up. Everybody will be given notice of when the meeting's gonna be. We'll be meeting with the stakeholders and landowners of the in and around Law Ridge Levee extension. And the whole purpose is to bring everybody in at one time, talk to them, show them the maps of exactly where the footprint of the levee will be, take their objections, comments. At the same time, get information from them that we can start moving forward with acquisition, right-of-way acquisition. And so this is a critical stage of the process. Hopefully, and I don't see any problem in when we do have the meetings. Most of the people are interested in the levee. It's just a matter of bringing everything together and give them the facts, and at the same time, get information that we would need for acquisition. Again, final design is about 30% of that. That's fairly easy to complete once we get further down with the permitting process. So I don't see any problem. The critical path of this is the permit. If we get the permit, we should be able to go to bidding within a few months. Hopefully, we can get the permit in place for Law Ridge Levee Extension by the summer. We're hoping that's what we are shooting for. If we can do that by the fall, we're hoping to go to construction. Mr. Cluett?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Bill. On the modified Charleston method that they're using, I know that it doesn't favor us in the Deep South, and that it's, you and I talked about, this was adopted by the Vicksburg office, which we're out of their district. And I would like to propose right now that, that this board send a resolution to Governor Jindal and our state representatives and senators, and also especially to our U.S. senators and our U.S. congressmen, asking them to please take a close look and put some pressure to get and do what they can to get this solved in a very timely manner. This project has been sitting for a while. I believe that that method has a lot of politics to it. We're not, when we get up to mitigation of 3 to 1, you know, we're not a bunch of developers or somebody that's trying to build a recreation center or some kind of condominiums or something to make money on a riverfront. We're trying to help people and solve their flooding problems. We've been working a long time on this. I think that, you know, Part of this is what used to be Todd's district, which is, it's all in my district now, but I mean, even the council member before me and several of you guys that have been on this board for a long time, this thing has been hanging in for a long time. And it's turned into a major project. The cost has gone up. But mitigation is a serious part of this cost. And just for the federal government to sit on their hands and just pass down rules is just not good enough for serving people. And I don't have the exact wording right now. I didn't write the resolution yet, but I'm just telling you that I think I would like to propose this in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman,
I'll second that.
that this board send a resolution to our state and federal representatives asking for their help to get some, to solve this in a timely manner and let us know where we're going, because we need to get this project moving.
That was moved by Mr. Cluett, second by Mr. Melanson, to go ahead and form this resolution, to send all the officials on this. Any objections to that resolution? Not, motion passed.
And just a quick note, on the meetings, I think you'd said that you'd plan on having them at DPW, in the auditorium at DPW. We do have a sizable place at the Santa Monica Park, which is, you know, fairly local to everybody. I know the schools, sometimes it's hard to get those auditoriums and things like that, but the parish has the Santa Monica Park. I don't know if that's open for that night. And I don't know what the logistic feasibility of the presentation that the engineering firm's gonna give or whatever. But I would like to have the best opportunity for the most people to be there, not be crowded, and have the ability to voice what they, you know, voice what they feel about the project and the progress of it and the end result. Because I think we've got a good plan going, got a good design, and I'd like to see it turning some dirt. Thank you.
Mr. Rue?
Okay, next thing on the list is a major channel improvement program. Green Goodine Canal is just about complete. We just got a little bit of channel on the west side of Highway 73. So that project just about complete. Bird Island Ditch is in permitting right now. The Corps of Engineers has the permit, been having it for a while. Again, right now, I think it's being held up because of that modified Charleston problem, mitigation problem. But it is sitting at the Corps. And I talked to them last week, and they're going to try to get it out as soon as possible. And that is to finish the project from Bird Island Road to the end, to Black Bayou, but also replace the bridges and doing some riprap along selected parts of the channel. At the same time, we're going to go up closer to the Roddy Road area, and we're going to redig that part out, and Shadow Creek, a little bit of that too. Clean it out again when we're in there, and when we going in and replacing the bridges. So we're going to redo some of that bayou when we go through to replace the bridges. Also on that, Mr. Johnson, I know you're interested in that, I think, that subdivision, crazy, is it Whisper Notes or the other one?
Yeah.
We got the survey in, we talked to the pipeline company. We think we can take a good bit of that water off of that from going under the road, take it down to Bird Island Ditch. The elevation is, will be enough to take at least 40% of it out, you know, through that way. And we think we have enough distance above the pipeline so the pipeline won't have any objections. We still got to get final permission from the pipeline. But after we do that, we'll go ahead and mobilize and start working that project.
You have an idea when you're gonna get with the pipeline group?
They already talked to them once already, and I think now that we have the actual design, so we know exactly the depth, they'll be talking to them this week or next.
Okay.
Okay. We have to submit that to them and let them reply back to us, you know, with final permission.
Right.
Bayou Francois lateral number 1 at Papero Road, that's what we're doing, that 2-tier system, you know, in Gonzales. And that is at the Corps. The permit is ready, it's being held up for the same reason, for the decision not to be made on the modified Charleston method of mitigation. The Ball Bayou, we're collecting right-of-way right now on Ball Bayou. We have most of the design complete, and we'll be going to final design on most of that. We're doing that in-house, just about all of it. The main thing on that is the right-of-way, and we're acquiring right-of-way right now.
Mr. Shake Snyder?
Mr. Rue, you said we're doing Ball Bayou, we're doing excavation of Ball Bayou, that's gonna increase the flow of Ball Bayou?
We can do as much excavation as we can. Some places.
And that's going into Conway?
Into Conway.
I
Yeah.
totally disagree with us doing any improvements above Conway Canal and putting more water on those people. I totally am against putting 1 gallon of water on those people from upriver whenever we're not gonna do any improvements downstream.
On
is.
that, we are, again, we're going back to critical path on all of this, is permitting. The permit on this will probably be no sooner than next year. No sooner. And again, that's a permit. What we're doing is, the permit is good for 5 years. We're getting permits on all of this. To get a permit, we gotta do a design, we gotta submit something. This is a permit issue. We're trying to get permits on all our projects. So when we get to the point of being able to do it, we don't have to wait 2 years for the permit.
I'm not against the permit, but how far are we on the permit for the cleaning out the lower Conway and
We'll
Panama?
talk about that in a second.
Okay.
Okay, in fact, we'll talk about it right now. Well, the levy FEMA certification process, that RFQ is complete. We have hired HNTV to do the work, and they're in their data collection stages right now. Conway Bayou, Panama Canal Basin Improvement. The engineering plan that was done by BKI and GSA several years ago through us and PLD is at the Corps of Engineers right now for evaluation and analysis. They are saying that they can hopefully they'll get it back to us within a couple more months, short time span. They had a grant for about $70,000 that they were able to spend on this type of work. So this is the first thing that we gave them, was this plan for evaluation. Now, the purpose of that is, if they come back with a recommendation and say the plan is good, it goes a long way for us to get a permit to implement the plan. Again, if they come back with problems with the plan, that's an issue that we're gonna have to work through. Again, if we're hoping they'll come back with the evaluation saying it's a good plan. Because if you don't have that, it'd be hard to get the permit. And if they're on your side, it'd be a lot easier. So once we get that evaluation back, depending on what the evaluation says, we'll pursue whatever their suggestions are. The Kluwat ditch right now is in design stages, and soon we get some of at least 30% of the design, we're gonna go to permitting on it. The main problem with the Kluwat ditch is the section of the Kluwat ditch that goes from the airline highway to Bay Francois. It actually goes upstream. We're gonna have to redirect that channel to make it go more into a downstream direction. Actually, right now, it's very little flow goes through that to Bay Francois when you get a strong flow coming through Bay Francois, because it's actually going upstream. So we've got to redirect that, and we've got some major permit to go through the wetlands through there to get that done. Once we get that part done, then we're gonna start working up the Kluwat ditch all the way to Hodgson Road. But the permit will be good for all of the channel, all of the areas. We're also working on permitting for the other 2 outfalls off of Conway going to Francois. We already completed part of one outfall close to Sorrento, from Sorrento Lumber Company to Bay Francois. That channel has been opened up and it's complete. It was an existing channel, so the only thing we did was doing some shredding through there and cleaning it out. We do have to upgrade enlarge the cover. That's Sorrento Lumber. They're undersized, and we're gonna be adding to those covers. Once we do that, then at the same time, we'll be working on a permit to get the rest of the overflow channels from Conway over to Bay Francois. the biggest thing on this, and it's further down on the sheet, but I'll talk about it right now. The biggest effort that we working that'll help out this whole Bayou, Conway, and Panama Canal is the enlargement of the train trestle at Conway and Airline Highway close to St. James Parish. We're talking to the railroad company right now. In fact, we're waiting for word from them on exactly what's the process for enlarging that train trestle. And what we're looking at doing is maybe even doubling the size of the opening in that location. Once we get that opened up, then the other parts of the plan of dredging and enlarging Conway can occur. Can work up from that point up to and beyond Sorrento. But the main problem that Bayou and that system have is the inability to get through that train trestle on certain conditions.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Shakes now.
Bill, when is the next meeting scheduled for the railroad, with the railroad?
I'm waiting for word right now. In fact, we talked to Mr. Matlock today, and their engineering has the plan, and I'm just waiting for word from them to say, number one, yes, it is possible. How are you going to do it, and what's the process we have to go through to get it done? We already told them, you know, with the exception of money, for them not to worry about the money, just tell us, is it possible? And how long will it take, and what's the process? So we're working from their engineering department right now. Hopefully, because if the railroad contracts it themselves, hopefully all we have to do is pay some fees, some money to them, and they'll get it done. And that's what we're hoping, you know, and we're ready to do it. We're ready to write them a check. If they're willing to and able to get it done, we're willing to pay them and get it as fast as possible.
Can you let me know when the next meeting is?
Sure.
I appreciate it.
But that is our critical path, is the train trestle.
And when is the next meeting with the Corps people?
They're coming back to us, last time I talked to them about a month ago, and they say this is a short-term program that they have. They want to turn it around within 90 or 120 days, so I'm looking by March that they'll be complete with their review and evaluation. What they're doing is they took the model and they took the whole report that was done by BKI, and they're going through the whole thing. Now, what they are going to do, they are going to put in the constraint at the train trestle. They are going to put in certain factors like an east wind, high tide. They're going to put that into the model. They're going to reevaluate everything, and then they're going to come back to us. We already know the train trestle is a problem. We saw that. But then we're going to, you know, with the exception of that, how big it has to be, and then how much improvements can be made upstream, and where those improvements can be made. And again, it just makes sense, because if it comes from the Corps saying, this is what you should do, then we were way ahead of the game with getting a permit, because it's already been accepted by the Corps. And again, by March, we're hoping to get everything back from them, the review and the report.
Mm-hmm. And I see there's no monies dedicated for the different projects for that.
No, well, it's not, because I didn't know exactly what to put down. Yeah, we have money for it. Yeah, I just didn't put it in the report because I have no idea. They're gonna tell me on the train trestle issue and other openings. We have 4 other openings under the train tracks, mainly covers. One is up a little bit upstream of north of LA 30, a new cover putting in, and then we got 3 others going in. And they're gonna tell us the cost, and that's why I didn't put anything in this.
Can we look at, since the Restore Act is going to come into effect with monies for coastal zone people, and we worked very hard to get in the coastal zone, and most of the parish got reevaluated, and a small part was designated as part of the coastal zone and is basically in this area. Can we look to possibly have a plan to dedicate a percentage, whatever that would be, hopefully a majority of percentage of that coastal zone money would go into improving these areas, because that's basically where the coastal zone is. And then we could take a look at it, if you can make an evaluation, and this board could then decide how much of a percentage, and that way that would give us basically some dedicated funding towards the future that we would know we would have for these projects, and it wouldn't take it out of the general fund from drainage. And I think that would go a long way for future projects where we could plan for these things.
We have looked into some of that already. The main thing now that we don't want to do is go after money that may hold up a project. Basically, what we're looking at with any grant money is a reimbursement. We don't want to go through the whole process of 2 or 3 years of applying and reapplying and jumping through hoops and everything else. We're going after these projects, and we're going to pay for them if necessary. And if we can work out something with reimbursement from Restore Act and other grants, we're going after it. But again, we're not going to sit back and just wait for money to come in. Because again, if we do that, gentlemen, we all would be retired probably before any of these.
No, that's the reason why I want to do that, so we can
right.
start our preliminary stuff, and we have the monies to do all of that. But I don't want to hold up the design and everything, which, it looks like you're going to have some type of pumping station, some type of levees.
The main thing on that,
and everything.
Councilman, you're right. The main thing is we paying our own money. We're not going after any grant money to pay for engineering or any grant money to pay for mitigation or wetland permitting and stuff. We can go ahead and get that. Once we get that, we have 5 years, and we can start the work. We can do something. If we got grant money coming in, we can work something out. Our critical path is environmental, engineering and environmental on these projects. And we're going after it 100%, and we'll pay whatever it takes. We want the permits. We want to be, in the position that we can start a project at any time. We just have to do it.
Well, and if it's any warm, fuzzy feeling here, fellas, just when we met with Colonel Hanson a couple of months ago, all of these projects here, we want to get these things done as quick as possible, because the turnover with them, we don't want to be falling behind with permits and everything. And like you said, we don't want to tie ourselves to that.
And again, to go back and put everything in perspective, especially for Councilman Shakespeare, on this Conway, that's our last major part of the parish that is unprotected is this area. And that's why we're putting in everything possible that with the Law Ridge Levee extension, which is already ongoing, we putting in whatever effort is necessary to do something in this basin. And again, what we think the proper process is, number one, remove the bottlenecks, which is the train trestle. Number two, get the backing of the Corps of Engineers to do other necessary improvements to the basin, so it's easier to get the permit. Number three, we got overflow channels that we have to put to Bayou Francois, because that's where it goes. We're not going to stop the overflow. The overflow is natural. It's going to come across Brittany Street. It's going to try to get to Bayou Francois. We're going to enable it to get there better, more efficiently. We got adding the number 7 pump, and we'll talk about that in a minute. That's going for, in fact, the RFQs is due this week on that project to add number 7 pump. So with 7 pumps, with these new routes for this overflow to get to the channel, with the opening of the train trestle, with the events that we had in the past, I think we'll be much, much better off than we ever was, especially when we get record rainfall like we did a few months ago. But we have to get this done, and that's we pushing forward with with whatever's necessary we're doing.
Bill, we're going to have Francois size to handle the increase on that.
The Francois can handle it. The main thing is the pump, and that's why we have to get that pump in before we do a lot of this overflow improvements to get that water into it. We have to have the capacity for number 7 pump. And again, and the reason we can go quick with this is the fact that we don't need a permit. The only problem with going as quick as possible on that It's the fact that the equipment, it has to be manufactured, it has to be ordered, and it takes a pretty good while to get that equipment in. But with that, other than that exception, this would be a fairly quick process to add that number 7 pump.
Great.
So, and again, talking about number 7 pump, again, like I said, that's RFQ process is complete, just about complete. We will be getting the RFQs in this week, and we're gonna put it on a fast track to get approval, pick the engineer, and get the contract signed. We also looking at we're gonna be going out for RFQ on the pump screen rake system for the pumping system at Marvin Bray. As you know, we've been without a rake system on the original 5 pumps for quite a while. They never did function properly. We always had problems with them, so we took them out. We have to go with another system. Right now, we're looking at a type of a gantry system, where we don't have to have a screen rake system at every bay. But again, this is going to be the requirement of the engineer that's chosen to work with us on that process. It all depends on what can be attached to the pumping station, what it will hold, what kind of structural problems we may have by attaching it to the system. So again, it's a lot of problems that we looking at going through, having to solve to put that system in. But something has to be done. We can't put a heavy piece of equipment on there, getting that trash out every time. It causes damages to the pumping system. The other thing, similar to what we were just talking about, the Marvin Bro pump station inspection and upgrade. Once we get all the pumps in, once we do a lot of the improvements to our channels and everything else, we have to step back and start taking 1 pump down at a time. It probably takes 6 months or more. But we completely have to dewater and take 1 pump down and inspect the structure, inspect the impeller and all the mechanisms, the gearbox, the engine, do a complete overhaul and inspection of each pump one at a time. It's going to be about a 5 or 6 year process, 1 pump at a time, but it's something that's necessary. It's the age of the pumping system now and everything. And the fact that we're seeing some cracks in the structure, giving us cause for concern. And we already had 1 problem with the kill cooler of 1 engine. And when that goes down, it takes the engine down with it. So this is something that's critical. We're going to start this process probably next year sometime. Again, we have to get the other pump, everything else functioning. So we know we get that number 7 pump in, but then we'll have 6 pumps. That's in good shape all the time. So again, this is something that'll be a start probably next year. And again, the last thing is something that I'm working on is a multi-year plan, scheduling, and operational procedures on everything that we do. And the main purpose of that is to have something that you can have that you refer to, but also when we, 2, 3, 5 years from now, when some of us old fellows are retiring, we have a manual, things set in place in writing that the future people at Public Works and Drainage Department can refer to and keep the operation going. So basically, that's our major projects that we have ongoing. And I can answer any question specific to your concerns or your district.
Mr. Kluwai?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill, on the number 7 pump, I got a question. I think, do we have BKI here?
Mm-hmm.
I got a quick question on the pump. Several things that we did on number 6, the improved suction blue design and the improved impeller design. And of course, upgrading the kill coolers and everything and get that better. Is that feasible on these as we go through this rehab process?
Well, Henry
Or you can answer that.
Yeah, well, basically, it's just about a total different animal, each one of them. The old system is almost completely different,
Yeah.
from the new construction design. There are some things that we've been advised to do through the model when they conducted the model for the whole station.
Right.
Some baffles and some other improvements. The same thing, too, is that we're looking at, and this is coming from BKI, is that when we do go through a rehab of each individual pump, we're gonna look at putting in a system that we won't have to cofferdam off in the future. It's something that we can seal off
Right.
and dewater at any time in the future without going through a major process of cofferdamming everything off. So it's gonna be fairly expensive, but once we get it done, again, at any point in time, without much effort, we can take one system offline and again, dewater and get down to it and see and repair whatever's necessary to be repaired. But, no, it's a whole different animal, a whole different pumping system, structure-wise, so.
Yeah, I understand that. That's why I was, I was in on the design of the other one, so. Going through this, I got a quick question for you. Capital versus our fund, our balance fund. After the 20 million per se for the Lorridge levy extension, what do we have left in the capital in the bond money?
The bond money, right now, we have about 30-some-odd million
Yeah.
left in it. Our actual, the money that we have in reserve is in the 35 to 38 million. And
Okay.
that's totally separate.
Yeah,
the
I
bond
wanted to
money.
bring that out, to bring that
Yeah.
Councilman Shakes there and Councilman Shakes and several folks that, that we have some improvements we can still do. And we also have a pretty good balance fund that we can work with on stuff that we can move fast on.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Shakes, now, do you had any? I know this is a lot to, I know we made a lot of notes. You had anything else, Mr. Shakes, now?
No, not right now.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Ward, did you have any, Mr. Lambert?
Bill, one quick, how many hours we have on the pumps, the older 5 pumps? You have that?
We can figure it. We
I didn't know
don't-
if they had an hour meter
Yeah,
on them
we
or something.
have
They
some
do?
data on it. We have to go
Yeah.
back and put, because each pump is different,
Yeah.
so, we have different hours. But you're basically looking at, 20, 25 years
Right.
of service, going on 24 years of service, without any major rehab.
None of the engines ever been rebuilt.
None rebuilt. We had some problems. We had different
Different issues on it.
head problems or something like this, exhaust problem, different things that just wear out, starters and stuff like this. The kill cooler was the one major deal that we had to work through. We do go through a vibration analysis and routine maintenance of the equipment once a
Right,
year.
checking bearings and stuff.
But other than that, we can't get to anything, really.
Yeah.
Because it's underwater,
Gotcha.
the structure itself.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Melanson?
Nope, just, I'll get with Councilman Turner and see when he wants to get those meetings, hopefully towards the latter part of February or beginning of March. We can kind of continue that progress on.
Right. Mr. Kluwai?
Yeah, real quick, Bill, not on any of this, but that I hadn't seen a project in, but on Black Bayou and New River, for us keeping that up, you got any Severio Canal, you got any major things that you're looking at on
Well,
that?
what we are doing is desnagging. We have our own operation going right now, working in New River. We will be, working all the way up New River, and then we're going back on a periodic basis to both New River and Conway and Panama Canals. We want to routinely go through there and remove debris that falls since the last cleaning. And it's going to be, again, we have 2 barges, and we've been working the barges just about every week, off and on. When it's raining, we can't do anything else. They get on the barges and they go through and remove, desnag, debris in the canals.
But the dredging that we'd done years back, down in the Santa Mo area and Black Bayou and all that, that's still holding up pretty good.
That's still holding up, yes. We're having some erosion problem that's natural, but nothing to cause any problems. When they were dredged, that was taken into account. So, we know that we have erosion when we go into a dredging operation. So you basically over dredge and to take it to allow for the little bit of slough off and stuff like this. But we have no problem through those channels right now.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that silt built up and stuff like that over the years. Good, huh?
Nothing. Nothing right now.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr.
What he brought, on the snag in the New River, where did we start out on that? How far down? Do
We
you know?
started out at the convergence of New River and Bayou Francois,
Have we gotten
coming up.
pretty far down, or?
Oh, yeah, it's moving. Again, it's a little bit at a time, but, you know, as time permits.
Go ahead.
Bill, what about our shredder? I don't hear too much about our
Oh,
shredder.
we
It's
working
been,
it.
it's been working?
Oh,
it?
yes.
Okay.
Right now, we're working, let's see, the last location is the ditch off of LA 22 by Walter Hill Road. That's coming off of all that major drainage that we did along the road. And it's a large ditch that goes a couple miles, actually, from 22 all the way to Conway.
Yeah, I knew you used to get some updates on it. I'm just wondering.
And we're working in. In
Yeah.
fact, we get about ready to
Good
get
deal.
a second shredder going.
Good deal.
We got the big shredder, Long Reach, going, and we're gonna go ahead and get the small pontoon shredder going again, with a little bit smaller head to get into the marsh areas.
Good deal.
But most of our shredding been done with the
I know
Long
they did
Reach.
some good with them machines.
Yeah, and hopefully we get both of them going because they're really an asset.
Thank you.
Any other questions from Mr. Rule on the drainage report? If not, we'll move on to number 7, the extension of contract with BJM Construction. That's Manchac Lake Drive drainage pipe rehab. Mr. Rue?
That's some subsurface drainage pipe in this subdivision. They've been having a problem for years. Right now, he's having a lot of problems with the wet weather, but also with the pipelines and utilities in that area. And we're asking to extend the contract. It was due to be completed December 31st. We want to extend that contract to April 15th. And I think it's justified, and we're requesting the extension of the contract.
Okay.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Lambert. Second by Mr. Shake Snyder.
Real quick.
Discussion?
Bill, that's the old, I was thinking of the old race, never mind, it's
No.
a different place. I
No,
know
that's-
we had
that's,
constant problems over there.
No, that's a subdivision, what's the name of it? Manchac Crossing. Manchac Crossing.
Manchac Cross.
And it's a deep concrete pipe that's separated sump holes, and it's real close between two houses, and it's really a bad situation. A lot of utilities, electricity and pipeline and everything else is all through there. And it's a bad situation.
Any objections to the motion? Not, motion passed. Number 8, authorization to advertise for bids, Villa Road Bridge replacement.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Cluett, second by Mr. Lambert. Any opposition? Not, motion passed.
Quick note, Bill, if you move for bids, when do you expect to be doing something on that?
90 days,
Okay.
yeah. And because it's a pretty big project, because the approaches can be widened.
Right.
The bridge is gonna be a 2-lane bridge with access to the church, Holy Rosary Church, and to the little
To the
two
road.
houses. It's gonna be a fairly large bridge, and the main reason for it is the fact that if and when the old wood bridge in front of Holy Rosary goes bad, this probably will become the primary entrance into the church. Because if they want to rebuild the bridge, they'll have to do it themselves.
Yeah.
But with this concrete bridge there, it's no reason why that can't be the primary entrance into the church.
Good deal.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Before we adjourn, I want to, Mr. Dawson is sitting in for the parish president. You had anything?
Everything was covered.
No, all right, appreciate you sitting in. Moved by Mr. Lambert to adjourn, second by Mr. Malonzo. We adjourn.